Maybe I should go be a logger. If I was to go be a logger, I just about double my pay. A lot easier for me to save up for Brittany surgery. A lot easier for me to build my house, just any and everything. I know the work's hard work, but I already do hard work. I'm pretty sure it's harder work, but I'm not so sure that it is really. I know that it's tiresome to run the chainsaw continuously, but I also know my brother does it. I know he's a hard worker, but I'm pretty sure if he can do it, I can do it. But I don't really like switching jobs. You get used to people and liking people you work with, and get used to doing the job and being good at the job, and then changing everything. But I mean, I don't hate it so bad that I haven't done it several times when it's been beneficial and necessary. But I think I probably should. Maybe I should do that. I knew it was more money, but I didn't know it was that much more money. Of course, this is a different company than the other companies that my other brother worked for. And they pay better. I know the basics of running a chainsaw. Because, they always put you on trimming trucks before they get you out there on the heavy machinery. I'm ready for this lip to heal. I bit my lip. I wasn't going to show it, but you probably don't want to see it. Oh, I'm glad it's Friday. It was a long Friday, too. My goodness. As we're in Parker College, we put up gutter over there. Hey, hello. I'm off work. The work week is over. Rain's coming in on the weekend to water my peach trees. I'm loving that. Let me see, because I gotta hold the phone where I can see it while I'm driving. Is it Analia? I don't. Did you hear that other video where I said I'm not too good at? Oh, I said it right. I finally got it. Hey, bro. Scorpion Mods. Hello. I don't know because of the rain, but I'm going to try to take Brittany fishing this weekend and let her catch her first fish. I'm kind of getting to where I miss the old little dog at the house, that little teacup chihuahua Brittany's got, even though he just wants to bite me all the time. It doesn't really hurt, though. He just he likes to play too much. And then not next week, but the week after that's Memorial Weekend, so I'll get that Monday off. A little extra day to recover from the work week. I was saying earlier, my brother told me I'd get paid double if I'd go be a logger. And double pay's pretty good, that means that if I could live off of how I do now and then save as much as I'm making, I could get Brittany's surgery paid for in no time. I could buy that building in no time to add on to the house. I could do a lot. I only speak Hindi and English. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. You speak two languages on opposite ends of the world almost. I think, I wish I knew more languages. I just know a few words in a lot of languages, but I can't really speak anything but English. I know thank you and talat. Filipino is salamat. I don't know any Hindi. I don't know any Indian. I don't think at all. I barely know any Spanish, mostly cuss words. Nothing. What happened? What happened with what? What happened? Do you want to be my friend? Sure, why not? What do you mean, like on Facebook or something? I pretty much go to work and go home, work on my little farm, work with the bees, hang out with Brittany. I'm the oldest of 7 siblings, so I could be a friend, but I don't know like how much time I'm gonna have to hang out or where you live or any of that. I'm tired of being poor. I feel you. It sucks, don't it? Shit. It's easy to get tired of being poor. They say money don't buy happiness, but the rich people aren't giving their money away to be happier. It's probably harder to have friends when you're rich because you don't know who's just there for the money. But there's a lot of problems you wouldn't even have if you had more money. A truck breaks, just go fix it. You know, you can. 38. I just turned 38 August the 20th. I was born 1987. The river's done got higher enough. Accidentally bit my inside of my lip. I've had that ulcer there for like 3 days. Brittany just messaged me, asked me if I want anything to eat from the restaurant. There's a sheriff. I got one of my headlights out. I hit a deer and it's like hanging from the front of the vehicle. I gotta strap it. Hopefully he won't pull out and write me a ticket. He's pulling out. I can't see for the Jeep if he's coming this way or with the other way. Good, he went the other way. Because you know, a ticket hurts me a lot more than somebody who's got more money. I'm over here building America. Tired all the time building so much. Last thing I need is a ticket for a headlight. And then that deer run out in the road super fast. There was really nothing I could have done. Didn't make a difference who was driving. Nobody could have dodged that deer. He just super fast run in front of me while I was driving. And it like jumped across the road and I hit it. Middle of the deer, middle of the truck, knocked that headlight out on the right side. It's hanging. Little American flag in the front of the truck. It's hanging. It needs to be glued back. From the UK, man, what is your queen doing? Well, it's a king now, right? I don't know. The monarch swears to protect the Church of England, but lets Islam have parallel courts and lets the Muslims marry children in Britain. What's going on there? Why y'all support the monarchy when they don't support y'all? They straight up betrayed y'all and just handed your country over to the Turks and the Arabs. Maybe you are a Turk or an Arab. I don't know. I just think it's kind of horrible how they I forget the statistic, but I saw a statistic about rape in the UK, and it's like you almost have no chance of getting justice if you get raped in the UK. They're just like, don't tell anybody who raped you. You don't want to make the group of people that's raping you look bad. It's a shame for real. I really hate to see it. And I really hate to see that it's in every Western nation in the world. And you know who's doing it. And they said they were going to do it. And then when we said, yo, they're doing it, they're like, oh, you're an evil person. How dare you believe the conspiracy that we're trying to completely eliminate Europeans off the face of the planet? How dare you notice that we're destroying your economy on purpose? I'm tired of it. You know, and it's always easy for the Jews to find people willing to work with them against us. They've pretty much scapegoated us for all of the horrible things that they've done. You know, they pretty much. Oh yeah, y'all gone now. I lost them there. I just don't care what anybody thinks about it, really. I'm just tired of it, you know? Like, it's hard for people to see it, but it's right there so obvious if you want to see it. If you want to see it, it's obvious. You see the media, you see them pushing a lie. You can tell how they won't answer questions honestly and how they misdirect and how they cut people off that they interview. And you see how they're pushing an agenda. So just ask yourself, who owns that company? And then you see the inflation. Just ask yourself, who's in control of printing that money? You see all the youth being indoctrinated and misled at the colleges. Just ask yourself, who owns those textbooks at those colleges? And so it's really easy to see who it is. But everybody's been trained to just support them no matter what. Georgia, the great state of Georgia. Georgia on my mind. Georgia. Not that little island and not that country up under Russia, but one of the original 13 colonies, Georgia. It's become the land of soybeans, cotton, peanuts, and pine trees, pretty much. But I plant olive trees, fruit trees. Well, yeah, if you're in the country, if you're in Atlanta, not so much. I tell you the truth though, if you're in the country, you're more safe than you're in the city in Georgia. If you're around people that look like me, you're safer than if you're around people that look like the opposite of me. I mean, it's just the truth. If you're in a white neighborhood, keep your doors unlocked, whatever, for the most part. Once it gets to be too much, foreigners or blacks, they're going to lock up. You're going to have to go get the cashier to go unlock everything to buy anything. You go to like around Atlanta in Georgia, they got bulletproof glass where you go to buy stuff. Get mad, whatever, hate, whatever, it's the truth. You go up there, they got bulletproof glass and bars and stuff in Atlanta. You got to hand them the food up under there. They hand it back. Every time Circle K gets robbed, who robbed them? I'm just saying, every time Circle K gets robbed here in this little town, who was it? Every time, same people. Same people. When them kids had that gun put to their head, they got robbed, who was it? Same people every time. When you see the bulletproof glass, look around. What kind of people are around every time? Yeah, Georgia's pretty safe if we can keep it. Because you got to have about 700 of us to get one murderer. You got to have about 700 of us to get a murderer. You only have to have 22 of them to get a murderer. So that's just the way it is. And you're not allowed to say it or talk about it or discuss it or ask why. You're supposed to pretend the problem's not even there. You're supposed to pretend. You're supposed to make excuses for them every single day. And I just don't care anymore. I'll just say how it is. Something's got to be done. You cannot just... we have higher standards. We got higher standards for how we conduct ourselves. We hold ourselves to a higher standard, and the government holds us to a higher standard. They don't expect us to go burn down a city off some misinformation. They hold us to a higher standard. When it comes to paying taxes and collecting welfare or making grades or just acting civil, we're held to a higher standard, and we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And it's time we held everyone to the same standard. Don't make excuses for nobody. Say, look, this is ridiculous. 1 out of 22 of y'all has murdered somebody. Y'all need to self-police y'all's community. And if y'all ain't going to do it, we got to do it, or we got to separate or something. Got to work something out. Oh, yes, a nightmare driving through Atlanta. I tell you, my dad lives above Atlanta, and most of my family lives in South Georgia. So if I'm going to be driving through Atlanta, I want to be driving through Atlanta at like 3 o'clock in the morning, midnight. You know, you don't want to be going through Atlanta when people are going to work or getting off of work. Or if any kind of concert's going on in town that's brought a lot of people to Atlanta. You really want to go, like, if you got a long road trip or something, and you got to pass through Atlanta when there's no traffic whatsoever. There's certain times you can do that. You just got to plan it. You might have to wake up at midnight or, leave out at 11 o'clock or something. Drive through at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Be out of there. Ah, man. I don't know if you're the same person as before, lost service, but go through Atlanta when people aren't getting off of work or going to work. If you got to drive through Atlanta at like midnight, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Then you don't hit all that god-awful traffic. I've drove through there so many times visiting my dad or just driving back and forth. Or when I worked in Cherokee. I gotta slow down a little bit. Let me look up. I got my phone balanced on the wheel, so I gotta move to the side to see how fast I'm driving. Joined the stream 10 minutes ago. Okay. It's telling me 1010. I don't know if sometimes I'm losing service. I will tell you though, like, it's not the same in Atlanta as it is in Wood County, Georgia. I think it's about, I don't know, maybe 40% black, 60% white. And we pretty much get along. Sometimes differences and issues, but it's a different culture. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you. Please be polite to their elders. And, like, but in Atlanta, it's different for real. I think, there's this when you have to a point because they stop feeling as responsible and they start slacking off and leaving it to the group. Government services to handle everything, and they stop, being a social support network for each other. They just leave it to the government to do that, and they start having more and more regulation, more centralization of authority, and it's just it's also a different type of human that can live in a city so close to everybody. You got a different kind of person that wants to live in the country like me, Like, I can't do it. I've tried, but I cannot live in a place where the population density is high. Crazy. It drives me out of it. When I can't look around and see trees and nature and just buildings everywhere, I feel like I'm in a cage or a prison and I have to leave. I do not, like, it's not in my nature to live in a city. Everything about a city tells me it's a prison, it's a slavery, it's escape while you still can. Like, it just something. My dad can live there. My brother Josh can live there. Most of my family can. I think it's in your DNA a little bit. It's like how communal are you as a person? How individualistic you are as a person? I just can't do it. Just can't. I got to be able to have a chance to shoot a deer out of my backyard and eat him, and be able to go outside and nobody see me. Be able to talk outside and nobody hear me. Like, I can't live all on top of. Like, everybody gets in the city in each other's farts. They all too close to each other, and they're starting to go crazy a little bit. I think they get in the city too long, and they're like, animals should be treated like humans. they start saying things like, we don't need farms. We get our food from the grocery store. They start, and then they outnumber us. That's the problem in Georgia. Like Atlanta has about the same population as everyone else. They know absolutely nothing about farming or logging or managing the forest, and then they outvote us and put in the most stupidest laws trying to protect the environment that destroys the environment. And I'm a landowner. I work my ass off, and I'm about killing myself in my lungs in concrete to get my land. Nobody give it to me, but I've made the land better, and that makes more wildlife go into the area. And I got to be careful because the EPA will be like, oh look, now this animal's moved in your land. Now we got to take it from you for a nature refuge. But if they just left me to manage it, the animals would benefit. But the government, they don't know what they're doing. They don't. A lot of times they try to fix. I tell you, I'm gonna flip the camera around and kind of show you a little bit where I live. It's just, I hit a deer on this road. We're probably not gonna hit a deer. It's like really hot. The deer are in the shade, bedded down somewhere. They mostly move in the early morning and night anyway. But you see, like this road that I live on. You see how you can see all these trees? You can see the sky. There's not like smog and pollution. The air doesn't smell like car exhaust. It's kind of spaced out from each other. And here's a mailbox. And then there's going to be long stretches of road where there's no mailboxes. And so, you don't have somebody looking out their window into your window, in your business. It's just, there's less people per square mile, and they can't really be a tyrant on us too much because we outnumber them. There's only like 2 cops working right now, probably maybe 3 for the whole county. Everything's spaced out. They can't get to us if we do anything whatsoever. So we have to be more individualistic. We have to have guns to protect ourselves. We have to police. We have to fight out and handle our own disputes a lot of times. We just have to have more freedom. And you have to love freedom more to be here, and you have to take more personal responsibility to be here. And I love it, but some people hate it, but they can go live in the city. And it's not like we don't need the cities. Like, they're making stuff in factories in the cities that we're using here. They're eating food and wearing clothes from cotton grown here. So, we need the city and the city needs the country. But a lot of times over time, the city monopolizes political power. And then they ruin everything. And then you have to have some revolution eventually where people out of the country come, form the new army, take over, and start over again. That's happened in history a lot of times. The city gets a little too big for their britches and thinks they can just control everything. And they forget how, can lay siege to you. I'm not advocating doing anything crazy, except I am saying that it's not going to change with voting. It's not. Now, Bill Gates is talking about making a digital tattoo that's like a smartphone where you buy and sell with it. It's powered off the energy off your own body. They can drain your energy. They can track you. And he says, and they have a vaccine record. And he wants to put this thing to, like, I saw this happen. I was paying attention in biology school about what RNA does and how your body uses the code for proteins and everything. And they come out with that RNA vaccine. They can really edit your DNA. They want to be able to edit your DNA. And it's really, the type of slavery they have planned for us is just insane. Bill Gates is a Jew, don't you? You know that the Talmud says that it's okay for them to enslave us and that we're their property, and it's not stealing if a Jew steals from a non-Jew because we're just their property and made to be their slaves. That's how they believe. And the Muslims, they're doing a lot, so everybody pays attention to them, and they don't really see who's really behind the problems. and they're like it's rich white men. Is it, or is it Jewish? Like, are them CEOs white Europeans, or are they Ashkenazi Jews that believe that we're supposed to be their slaves? A lot of history makes sense when you start figuring out that the Jews dominated the slave trade. When you really, that they were the founders of the Masons. The trees are so tall. Actually, I'm going to tell you, that's your opinion. Those trees have already been cut for lumber, for like telephone poles, but none of those trees are on the road are really that tall right now. They're probably 14 to 20 years old because they've cut the timber. They constantly, like, see that telephone pole over there? All in Wheeler County, all these pine trees you see, they're going to get taller and they're going to get bigger around, and they can get a lot bigger around, but most of them are being grown for telephone poles. And so, like, when I was a boy, there was a lot taller pine trees on this road, but BP Timber has cut most of them. There ain't very many pine trees on this road that are even 20 years old or older. Lee, I could go to Lee's house and show you what a real big pine tree is. But, yeah, y'all trees probably are smaller because our trees can grow faster because of the warmth. And it's also like, we're not subtropical, but we're almost subtropical because I'm in South Georgia. I'm about where Vidalia is. Like, you draw a straight line across, like Savannah, Vidalia across there. That's where I'm at. And it's almost subtropical. And so it's warm and we get rain, and so trees and plants can grow. Also, we have a very short winter. Like, honeybees, believe it or not, honeybees are foraging for pollen in January and February. There's days in January and most of February is warm enough here for honeybees to fly and go get pollen. So just because we don't have a winter that's very significant, and we got a lot of water, a lot of rainfall, and a lot of warm temperatures, our trees can grow our trees grow fast because, they're not being dormant for very long. And, and also we're a little bit closer to the equator than you, so they also get a longer daylight in the days, and there's just various reasons why. And maybe the soil too, I don't know. I know that, like, when my dad went to Asia, he was like, the trees are so much smaller there. Or he didn't go everywhere in Asia. He went to Korea. Both my great granddaddies fought in the Korean War, and my daddy went to Korea when he was in the Air Force and did like counter-terrorism or something. Anyway, they did all kind of crazy. Like, they would torture my dad to teach my dad how to not give up secrets if he's being tortured, because he worked on different computers and stuff for Skunk Works and like, officially, like, the Air Force sometimes work with the NSA, but the NSA's members are classified. And but my dad was in the Air Force, and he went to Korea and London. But he went to London back before, like, I mean, not before, what's his name? Is it Enoch Powell? Enoch Powell told everybody what was going to happen. And everyone's like, oh, he's bad. He's a bad man. That Enoch Powell, he's a paranoid alarmist. But look, Enoch Powell was right, wasn't he? But I don't know. I thought Brittany got off work at 4. Mama's bringing her home. It should be past 4. Yeah, Brittany, I thought she was here. I thought Brittany would be here when I got here. Maybe they're making food for the jail. My mama's restaurant got a contract for the Wheeler County Sheriff's jailhouse, so she makes the food for the jail, which the other people didn't give us. And I know they're in jail, but they're in jail. They're not in prison. They might be innocent, And the woman that was making food for the jail just didn't give a fuck. She's like giving them bones with almost no meat, giving them leftovers and all kind of shit, just really doing them dirty. And the sheriff didn't really like it, and so they got my mama to start making food for the jail. So sometimes sometimes when Brittany stays a little extra, that's what they're doing. They're having to make up the food for the jail. And they got somebody in the. He said, and look, you don't know if they're innocent or guilty, but like when they knew the meal was going to a child molester, they took the cookie out of the meal. And I mean, I don't blame them. I hate it if he's innocent, though, because he's not been convicted. But shit, like, you don't deserve it. You molest a child, you don't deserve no cookie. Fuck you. I understand, you know. I'd probably do work. If I knew they were guilty, there's a big disconnect. The American people who want child molesters put to death and the politicians that are like, put them in jail for a little bit, let them out, let them go do it again. I think the average one of them has molested 70 children on average by the time they get caught. And then they normally, their rate of rehabilitation is almost zero. Like, they almost always do it again. So why the fuck they let them back out to do it again? Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons. The Talmud says it's okay for a Jew to have sex with a child under 3. So, you know, the Muslims, you know, Muhammad married Aisha at 9. And the Jews believe that Isaac married Rebecca at 3, even though the Bible never says that. You know, they're just a bunch of perverts always trying to justify their wickedness and say God said it. God didn't ever say it. Nobody ever heard God say, it's okay to have sex with a child. They just did perverted, fucked up shit and tried to blame it on God. And they full of shit. The Frankish Jews, that sect, they believe that God is both Satan and God, good and evil. And to be divine, you have to do all the good things and all the evil things. So that just gets them in a whole mess of fucking disgusting shit that they do. And then Epstein, you know, like, the people who have the files are like, well, we can't release the files to the public because a judge sealed them. Just release the files. Just go to jail. Just be a good person. Just release the files to the public. Then they can't help but do something about it. And yeah, let them send you to jail for releasing the files or what. If I had the files in my possession, and people have told me that ain't how it works, Paul, I don't give a damn. If I had the files in my possession, I'd release them to the public. Because sometimes the right thing to do is to break the law. You're saying it's the right thing to do to follow the law, to keep the record sealed? What about all the fucking people that got molested? What about all these politicians and celebrities that fuck kids? They should just get away with it because a judge sealed the... Fuck that shit. Release the files. Oh, hey. Cortez, why did I decide to make a Lego gun? Oh, I did it when I was a kid. You like stack the Legos like that and make a gun. I need to go watch that video. Well, those trees are those type of pine are made to be like telephone poles, to grow straight up and, you know, grow tall and not have very much branching in them, not have very much knots in them, you know. I thought Brittany would be here when I got here, but because she is not, I'll keep streaming. Hey, I know you said hey. I said hey. I cannot comment in the comments. If I open up another tab, there's some kind of way I can get in there and reply in the comments, but I don't know how to do it. I done it on accident one time, but I do see that you said hey and hello. I don't know how to do it. I need to figure out how to do it. I need to take a moment one day and just like go on YouTube and look up like how to be a YouTuber, because I don't know what I'm doing with a lot of stuff. Oh, and somebody told me that there's a way I could organize my videos. There's a way to make different YouTube accounts and link them together. And I need to look at how to do all that, because I just have a disorganized mess. All of my videos are on one long list. A lot of them don't even have titles and thumbnails. And I'm off work and I am just resting because every joint, like my knees hurt, my elbows hurt, my shoulders hurt. My leg muscles hurt. My arm muscles hurt. My rib muscles hurt. Like the muscles on the side of your rib, the shoulders. I just hurt. I'm just wore out from the work week. It hurts to stand up. It hurts my ankles and feet to stand up. It hurts to walk. It hurts to do anything. So now I'm done with the work week and I can just enjoy. I'm doing nothing. Lee, my neighbor, when he sees me doing nothing, he's like, quit being lazy. This is not being lazy. This is being tired because I'm not lazy. This is because I done hung up roll up doors and garage doors and gutter and worked 12 hours in the hot sun, sweating the whole time. Oh, I can't. So now what I'm doing is just like enjoy and not having to do anything. You have a daughter. Brittany's my woman. She ain't my daughter. She's like my wife. We're not legally married, but we live together and we plan on pretty much staying together forever. She loves me enough that she's not trying to hold me hostage and steal my land or nothing. She loves me, so she stays with me. I love her too. A lot. Brittany's a rare type of woman. Like if she did something wrong, she'll be like, she's like, that's my fault. I'm sorry. And then like certain things, certain problems in her life, that she's like, that's because of bad decisions I made in my past. She like holds herself accountable and takes personal responsibility and accountability. She like normally what a woman will do is they'll either deflect. They'll be like, well, what about what you did? Or, well, men do this. They'll do a deflection, or they'll do some kind of distraction, some kind of, well, what about this over here? Or they'll somehow find a way to blame somebody else. Like, well, if you wouldn't have done that. But Brittany does not do that. She just owns her actions. She doesn't pretend that she's not like in control of her own actions. And I remember the first date I was with her and she was talking and I was just like, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe it. She just like, she's at work. Mama's bringing her home. She works and my mama owns a restaurant called Lori's Dive-In. I don't know how old I was when she got that business. I was in my mid-20s, I think, when she was making payments on the building, and she had a hair, like a, what do you call it, cosmetology, hair. She had like a salon, a haircutting place. Did perms and tanning beds and nails and foot massage and all that kind of stuff. But she got bored of doing it after about a decade or something, and she turned it into a restaurant. All right, bye. Hopefully I didn't piss off nobody. I don't know. Like people tell me that if I said certain things, they're like, well, they'll ban you if you say this. They'll ban you if you say that. So far, I've been getting away with it all, which feels weird because normally I do get banned from most stuff. But maybe it's because I don't really have that many followers, and the people that do follow me and watch my videos are cool enough not to just report every little thing. But I have no filter. I do have a little bit of a filter. A little bit. But if you want me to sugarcoat something or walk on eggshells, or it's just not going to happen. I just can't. It's not in me. Like if I do it, they're probably going to call me now. I'm going to answer. It's probably going to disconnect from the live stream. Shoot, reconnect. It reconnected. Shoot, reconnect. It reconnected. I don't know. Last time when I took a phone call from her, it put this in the background and disconnected. So I don't know if y'all, and nobody I think heard the conversation. It didn't record it. This time I don't know because it's still connected when I got off the phone call. But we didn't say anything out of the way or anything, so I guess it don't matter. Bro, where is she? Wow, that's crazy. I guess we got short trees over in Illinois. So I make a Lego gun. Hey, see two. I'm just reading over the comments. Bye. Hey, bye. Hello. 20. What have you? Even though I got 250,000 in the bank. Good for you. DJ. I'm gonna give you some advice. A lot of people are probably gonna ask for you to give them money. Don't do it. Don't do it. Keep your money that you worked for. Don't let them all eat it up. You know. I mean, do something good with it. But I don't like somebody will like you want that video game that your neighbor wants and you don't buy it because you're saving up. You want them speakers, you don't buy it. You don't buy them clothes, you don't buy that, that flashy jewelry. And now all these women, because they're flashing money, he gets the women, you don't get the women. You're grinding, you're working, you're sacrificing, you're building up the capital. Now you got a bunch of money saved up. You start a company. You're not making money for the first 3 years. You have all kind of stress. You can't never go nowhere or do nothing because you're tied to the company. You're taking on all the risk. The years go by. Finally, the money starts trickling in. You finally start having the money. You make the money. And then all these people show up. And they're going to be like, and I haven't done this. I don't have a lot of money. But my parents, they've experienced it. Then people are going to show up and they're going to be like, you're really a greedy motherfucker. It's not just give me half of what you got. Like, you can afford, you don't really need all that money. Just give me this much and I'll do this with it. But the truth is, like, if you're not making something out of the money you got, you're not going to make something out of the money you didn't earn. You're going to spend it even more foolishly. Like everybody that wins the lottery, just about it's going to become homeless or broke or in debt because they didn't have the self-discipline to earn the money, to make the money. They weren't financially responsible enough to manage the money. They were playing the lottery. So when they get the money just leaves. So, I had a boy, I saved up $1,000 and I had really scraped and suffered and everything to save up the $1,000. And he wanted me to loan it to him for him to buy speaker systems and all this stuff because he had a dream of being a rapper. And I was like, look now, and he was like really mad at me that I wouldn't give it to him. And I'm like, I got a dream too. Everybody's got their own dream and you can't expect people to just work for your dream. You got to work for your dream. He never had a job. He never wanted a job. He just wanted somebody to give him $1,000 to get started. And I wasn't going to give him the $1,000. Well, he actually stole it from me. So he got it. But, time passed. He did a lot of drugs. He bought a lot of stuff. And then he was broke again. He never become a rapper with the $1,000. So if I would have loaned it to him, he wouldn't have become a rapper. He stole it, done a lot of drugs, and got broke. Me, I just had to go back to saving and save up another $1,000. But I did. I saved up another $1,000. I bought tools, different assets, to where I can make some more money with little side jobs and stuff. But I don't know. I wish I had $250,000 saved up in the bank. It would be nice. Dogs are playful. They sure are. Do you speak Spanish? Quebrón. I don't really speak Spanish. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo se llama? Comprende, pinche wey, vato, aguacatas, pendejo wey. Not really. I don't really speak Spanish. There's a lot of comments to look at that I missed. From India. Do you want to be my friend? Sure. Tired of being poor? Tired of being poor. Even though I got 2,000. Like you say you're tired of being poor and have 250,000 in the bank. You kind of like my dad like that. Like he always feels poor, but maybe that's why he's got so much money. 20 would have you 19. Okay, yes. I do not have WhatsApp. The reason I don't have WhatsApp is my only, like, people on Facebook Messenger that are scammers will want me to get WhatsApp. So that's made me just not trust WhatsApp whatsoever. And I've just been like, no, I don't want WhatsApp. But it's probably for more than just scamming people. I don't know. Bro, I'm not talking to you. Sorry, dude. Didn't know. But I don't, okay, I'm caught up on the comments. And I don't know how to speak Arabic, and I'm not a Muslim. Oh, I don't know how to speak Arabic. Bismillah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I don't know how to really pronounce it right. And used to, I would have never said it. I would have never said it no matter what. They would have had to kill me before I would have said it. But now I would probably say it to like save my life. Like if they're just gonna cut my head off and kill me, I'd just be like, yo, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Of course I don't believe it. But maybe it'd be worth it to know how to say it. Where they're like, I'm gonna cut your head off, and just be like, you know, be like a double agent spy or something. I wonder how many. I got a friend, he doesn't believe in Islam, but he lives in an Islamic country. He has to kind of pretend that he does, or else people will be very mad at him and probably kill him and his family disown him. So he's always like stuck pretending to be somebody he's not for his own safety, so he's not put to death. That's got to be kind of a stressful life. And alcohol is forbidden in Islam, but that's kind of how he copes with the stress. He drinks alcohol. I wish him the best. He's a pretty cool dude. He's a teacher. He's a pretty good driver. He sometimes sends me videos, and I'll send him videos. So I see some of his country. He sees some of my country. I've FaceTimed different people in different countries around the world. It's pretty cool to see. It's a pretty cool time to live in the world, to be able to instantly talk to people on the other side of the planet. And it's a real opportunity to clear up a lot of misunderstandings. Just being able to like have Google Translate at the tip of your fingers. There's probably been so many wars happen just over communication misunderstandings. And it's a really cool time to live in. It's also kind of a scary time to live in. With power comes responsibility, and we've a need for responsibility. And we have a lot more power with the technology that we have. But there's also the power, there's a potential for things to go really wrong. Like there's these people, these Ashkenazi Jews that want to enslave people and give them a digital chip that cannot be removed to track all money, buying and selling and everything. And India so supports Israel because they both have to deal with Islamic attacks from, Islamic people. So they have that in common. And they've both been under British rule. They have that in common. And I don't know all of their reasons, but Israel helped India with an ID, a national ID, retina scans, and all this kind of stuff, and helping them with computers and stuff like this. But I just think that maybe India is a little naive about who the Ashkenazi are. You better be careful letting them in your country. You better be careful let them have that information on all your people. You must. I only heard one side of the story. You better be careful. I worry for y'all for real. And you know how China's got a social credit system where everybody's watched with cameras all over the place. It's like that in the UK too. I hear you just about can't take a step in the UK without being on camera. It's really, but people can talk about it, and people can vote about it. It's not going to matter. People need to form their own institutions outside of the government institutions to network and organize with people to form an equal and opposite or greater opposite force to this trend of slavery. We're trending from being free citizens to being subjects to being slaves. That is the trend. That is where things are moving. The middle classes are being wiped out on purpose. The dollar is being inflated on purpose. The cost of living has gone up on purpose. Wages are down on purpose. Deindustrialization is on purpose. Moving in large populations of other people to not have a homogeneous, cohesive society is done on purpose. We're under attack. And a lot of people hate us already, but a lot of people hate us without cause because we didn't really do anything to them. And normally the people who did do it pretty much just shifted the blame on us. And they act like it's really weird. Like it's really weird how the Ashkenazi Jews can brag in their Jewish encyclopedias about owning the most African American slaves, the most slave ships and everything. And then during the civil rights, they can walk beside the black man and be like, yeah, the European did that to you. We're your friends. We're also a minority. We're your friends. Hate these white people. And it worked. Oh, by the way, you were Egyptians. You were Native Americans. You were Vikings. You were the British. You were everybody. You were everybody but West Sub-Saharan Africans. And it's really crazy when there's the receipts for it, too. It's really crazy when the West African countries are admitting to it and are like, hey, we'll let you come here and be a citizen because we feel bad that we sold you. Like, it's just... So that is one thing. Like I said that about in Wheeler County, blacks and whites getting along and whatever, but we have completely different outlook on the world because now, they were believing they were the Moors. Then they were believing they were the Egyptians. Then they were believing they were the Jews. Well, now they're believing they're the Native Americans. And I have actual Native Americans. I've seen the pictures of Little Ma. I've seen her. There were escaped slaves that intermarried with the Native Americans. There were Native Americans ranging from dark in color to light in color, depending on the area and everything. But it's just really absurd that now they're Native Americans. So now not only do they want reparations, but now this is their native country. And and then we're on average, like if you average them all together, some are net taxpayers, but most are not. Most take more money from the taxpayer than they pay in. And it averages out for African Americans $750,000 per lifetime deficit, like costing the taxpayer more than they pay in taxes. So it's really crazy for them to be like, you're oppressing me. It's like, 1 in 700 of us are murderers. 1 in 20 of you are murderers. We almost commit no crime outside of our own race. You commit a lot of black on white crime and a whole lot of black on black crime. You're costing us money and taxes that you're not paying in. We're basically being enslaved to do the work to pay for your food and your housing. And you're saying that we're oppressing you. We're literally giving you free points on your score. Like, it's just... And now you're Native Americans, even though 15 years ago I know you were the Moors, but now you're Native Americans and the Moors and Egyptians and the Jews and the Greeks and the Vikings. And now there are some of them are saying that they were everywhere in the world, but that they also come from space. And it's like when you don't even have a written language, how are you so sure you were all these things? And then we do have a written language. We even have the bones. We even have the skulls. We even have the teeth. We even have the DNA. And I just give up. I give up. I guess you got to let them have it. Just okay. Okay. Maybe they were. I mean, they lie to us a lot. But like. And another thing, I'm going to tell you something they don't like to talk about. It wasn't like the Native Americans they did get a lot of them killed, but it wasn't that they come down in number so much from so many being massacred, even though a lot did get killed. There was this phenomenon of like female flight where so many Native American women said, let's go marry a white guy. Let's go join the United States. Let's live in a house instead of a tent. Let's eat apple pie. Let's have a gun. let's have silk dresses. You know what I'm saying? It was like, women don't want to be like a nomad living in a tent all the time. You ever brought women camping? So, and so, and you can do the DNA test and look at it, how much Native American mitochondrial DNA is in the American. That large amounts of British and German and French settlers, somebody in their family would have a Native American wife. There's a lot of it happen. And that's just normal. And I don't blame them. I've never been the guy to be against women for wanting to pick a man that can provide. Like I don't think there should be any shame in it. Like the whole gold digging. She's a gold digger. Now, I think you don't want a woman that's just so materialistic and only with you about money. But I don't blame a woman if she's like, listen, I like you, but you're homeless. I'm having a hard time seeing a future together. I don't know how we're going to take care of our kids. He's got a job. I think it's just kind of common sense. And so it's like, and women, they take the name of the man they marry. They never really are all that loyal to the nation state. That's normally more of a thing. It's an institution of men. It's what men have bled for, what men have went to war with, what men have organized as a collective, talked about, debated about, made laws about it. It's normally men doing that kind of thing. Women are more loyal to like their family and whatever, or their own children, themselves, their children, themselves, their children, than any kind of like abstract idea about a political state or whatever. And so a lot of Native American women, they weren't about to die to be, some of them were, but a lot of them weren't about to just, they knew what was up. They knew they were going to lose. But you know how men are with their pride. The Native Americans, they were like, we have no chance, but we're going to keep fighting. We will not accept your way. We're holding to our nation. But a lot of their women did just say, like, shit, I see the writing on the wall. Let's go eat that apple pie. I'm going to go smoke some weed with Thomas Jefferson, eat some apple pie, live in a big old white house. And can you really blame them? And then there's an insane amount of human sacrifice in a lot of the North Americans, and they mostly would sacrifice men more than women. And they would normally keep a ratio so crazy high to where it's like there's 5 women for every man. And I mean, like I said before, it's trade-offs. Like we can say one way is better than another, but obviously when you're always fighting each other, like it's like gangland from coast to coast, you're not going to build like this massive economy and really be like, and if you're not able to be really connected to the rest of the world, like when the Vikings showed up, they could have just peacefully traded and got connected into the rest of the world and got the wheel and written language and all that, but they just killed them. So it's like, you got to be able to actually so anyway, there's some disadvantages to the Native American way because they are not like the civilized. They're the barbarian. They're not the dog. They're the wolf. They're still humans in their natural form. They haven't been domesticated and softened yet. So the men are always killing each other, but hey, it's making them badasses. They can run a long time. Oh, there's a weak in it. Sacrifice them to the gods. Sacrifice this one. Sacrifice that one. But you get 5 women. That's pretty cool. You want to be a chief? Well, you got to go steal 5 women, other men's wives from other tribes. This is how these people live, and people leave out this. They're just like, well, they were peaceful. You should have been at peace with them, and you were just so mean to conquer them. But if they wanted to climb, like you as a European was not going to climb the social ladder by sleeping with other men's wives or stealing their wives, or you are having more than one wife. Christianity didn't allow it, but that allowed more men to work together and manage labor and be in larger groups getting along with each other. Whereas the Native Americans couldn't do that. They were going to be in like little units of 50 or 70, maybe a bunch of them in a larger confederation of thousands. But they were not organizing labor on as large of a scale. They were not at peace with their neighbor. They were always fighting one another and killing one another in an insane amount. So they were very war type people, and they had a lot of wives. And they did a lot of human sacrifice. They did a lot of torturous human sacrifice. But in the end, love won. In the end, being able to be a people that could love their neighbor won. Even though they bred the most badass men, even though they're being selected for who's the best warrior, who's the manliest, who's the biggest warrior, who's the best warrior. Whereas the European society had church for thousands of years. It really changed the European, putting them to this sort of this other type of morality, to where it's about loving your neighbor. You've got to love your neighbor. You can't covet your neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not steal. Whereas in the Native American, you're not going to be like, you could get promoted to a chief. You stole a lot of stuff from other tribes. You stole other wives. Okay, now you're the chief. But then, the chief is like leading the military and whatever, but he's under a female matriarch with these Native Americans. Like, we think of it like their chiefs are their rulers. That's not really true. The mother of the clan could just remove him from office or put him into office. But the requirements for him to get in office was he's got to go steal wives from other tribes. He's got to kill so many people. And when women were in control of the society, just like the same in Sparta with the Harrises, they pushed men to be like these super alpha warriors. And they never really advance scientifically. They go backwards and they don't advance economically. But they do make a very warrior of a man. But they always get conquered by a patriarchal society, always. Because they're going to stay in the Stone Age. They're not going to have the population. And they're going to be more warlike. They're going to attack other nations more. Like, even if you have a patriarchal society, but you just have a queen for the time being, she's more likely to attack another nation and to be attacked by another nation. And there would not be peace if women ruled the world. But if women ruled the world, it would be a more brutal life for men. More men would be sacrificed and killed in childhood, be pushed to be more warrior-like. And women there wouldn't be monogamy. There'd be fewer men with more women. That's what always happens. And women don't think that if they get in charge of society, that's how the society is going to be. But every time they get in charge of society, that's what happens. That's eventually what happens. And I think we're going to go toward that, actually. In America, I'm saying. I think we're already seeing this breakdown from a nation into a bunch of different smaller factions. Like, you can look and you can go see, like, they're doing a bunch of drugs, they're twerking, shaking their ass, they're not wearing a lot of clothes, they're all these little gangs fighting. They're about to be just like a bunch of tribes of Native Americans all over the place. Decadence leads to that. I think that the Native Americans used to have great, great civilizations, but they had already fallen into decadence, moral decay, savagery, and they had collapsed from their own selves before we ever showed up and began to take over. It's just like the Etruscans, the same thing. When the Romans start to rise, women are in charge of the Etruscans, but they've fallen into decadence and they lose. It always goes patriarchal, egalitarian, matriarchal, chaos. And then after the chaos, then there's the demand for more authoritarian and more masculine governments. And they transition from masculine republics to feminine democracies and to feminine communism. The masculine countries are going to send out colonies. They're going to be making a lot of children. They're going to have a lot of manpower, and they're going to go kick other countries' ass and go take parts of their land and go settle in their countries. And feminine nations are going to spread their legs, have open borders, say, everybody, everything our fathers died, bled, and sweat for, you can have for free. Come, everybody come into this country. Everybody come here. They welcome being colonized. That's what a feminine nation does. And so Europe has become very feminine, and that is why you got to wonder, it's like, why do all these feminist women in Europe vote? Like, the men are voting no, but the women are voting, let in the Syrians, let in all these Muslims, and then the Muslims come in and rape them, and then they cry victim. Like, why did they do that? Because it seems like it's completely stupid to do that. Like, Islam is completely against what they believe in. They're a feminist, and it's just like a negative and a positive and a magnet. because that society has become so effeminate. Like there's laws in certain European countries where men have to sit down to pee, that kind of bullshit, right? Because they've become so effeminate and so female like, so communist and socialism, not meritocracy, but everybody get a piece, even if you didn't work as hard. They've become so like that now that is drawn in the masculine patriarchal Islam, their birth rates are below replacement. So it's like you can have, if you slip from egalitarianism to feminism, you're not going to keep egalitarianism. It's going to go all the way into collapse and then go right back around to patriarchy because a feminist society cannot have sustainable birth rates. But even if they're poor, a patriarchal nation always can. And the patriarchal nation to the extreme is not the richest. It comes about when things are not safe and things are poor. That's when the masculine is valued. But when everything is built, like when you've built the house, now there's a place for the feminine to come in and decorate. When you've provided the safety and the provision, now there's room for the feminine. So when there's chaos, the masculine is valued for its ability to bring order, restore order. They want them rules and that authority. And this period of masculine dominance, this leads to the wealth. And when the wealth happens and the safety happens, people experiment with the idea of egalitarianism. It's safe to do it. Let's let everybody have a share. Let's let everybody have a say. And this inevitably leads the nation to shift toward being more and more feminine until as a nation it can't protect itself. Just like how a female can't protect herself against a man, a feminine nation cannot protect herself against a masculine nation because they're not going to have enough children. And I don't know how people afford children these days. The economy is so sad. Well, my brother has 4 children, but it's okay. It is harder to have children now because it's more expensive. But the thing is, a lot of it's about your priorities. Are you willing to have a lower standard of living and be less wealthy to have children? And a part of it is that, because there was a time when infant mortality was high, the world was way less safe, and people were way more poor. Like you look at countries where people live off of like $2 a day, and a lot of their food is like subsistence farming, and yet they still have more children than us. And then we've got iPhones. And there's got to be child slave labor to mine the cobalt, but we crack a screen and buy a new one and a new one and buy all the things that we buy. And then we say we can't afford to have children. I know it is a lot harder to afford to have children than it was in the 50s, and it's been getting worse and worse. And it's by design. The Jews are doing it on purpose. They're printing more and more dollars on purpose. The government has no balls. Congress has the power to get a hold of this stuff, but they say we will let them charge us 125% interest by dollars, and we will have government money by borrowing money from international Jewish bankers. If you don't end the Federal Reserve and you don't take control of the money, nothing's ever going to change. And everyone avoids that because Jews can just print up money and buy any politician. They can print up money and fund promoting degeneracy. They can say, let's promote feminism, let's promote abortion, let's promote homosexuality, let's promote transgenderism on children, let's inflate the money, let's Larry Fink, all them Jews at BlackRock, let's buy up all the houses, they on purpose make it harder to afford to have children because they say we're Amalek and they want us all dead. But if we don't have enough children, like we used to be a third of the world. Now we're less than 7%. I've heard that we're less than 5% talking about Europeans. So like if we don't have children, we will go extinct. And when we are gone, the Ashkenazi will have a fun, easy time enslaving the rest of the world. There's just so many of us that like freedom and are individualistic that kind of holds them back. But most of us are duped, slaves, useful idiots of the Jews. It's really sad, and I wish we could get free. I wish our mind could get free, but the white mind is too afraid to be racist or not egalitarian to see the truth. He's too afraid of not being liked, He just wants to be nice and wants to be liked so much, wants to be accepted so much, and doesn't want to be called a meanie. And it's just to the point that he has no self defense, no self preservation instinct, no ability to see the writing on the wall. But he distracts himself with so much entertainment anyway. It's really sad. It's extremely sad. And a lot of people are just not really. This is a sad thing I had to learn. But you know how ants have different castes or different types of species? There's certain species where different members of that colony will have different roles. Like army ants, there's certain types of ants where they have a class division where there's some are just soldiers, some are workers, some are male, some are queen, some are, and humans are like that. And so I used to think that you could wake up the sheep, that you could educate the sheep. But some people are just they're slaves by nature. Like they just want to follow. They don't want to think, they don't want to ask questions. They really just want to kind of just, whatever's the path of least resistance. And there's certain humans that are sort of just naturally made to lead and some that just follow. And I was very sad to have to accept this truth. But so, a lot of people are just, and you've got to have a very special type. Like there's a lot. There's some qualities that are good that will lead you to certain truths, but you also have to have sort of like some dark qualities in your shadow to come to certain truths. Like someone who has absolutely no desire for wealth and has absolutely no desire for power probably isn't going to ask themselves the same questions about who's at the top of finance and power. So you can't, first you've got to love the truth and you've got to have an ability to be uncomfortable and you have to be able to be self-critical, to admit that you're wrong about things. And so like there's a lot of truths that can be right in front of people's face their whole life and they just don't have the ability to see that truth. Because that truth means that granddaddy was wrong, that mama was wrong. That truth means that they've been wasting 10, 15 years of their life. That truth means that they can't feel good about making money in a certain way. There's certain things that keep people from being able to accept certain truths. I used to watch ants. I loved watching ants as a child. And I was at school, we were at recess, and I was just watching the ants. And some people told me that when I was just by myself, not talking with no one, just staring down there at the ants, they come up and they talk to me and they had a conversation with me. I told them like different things I knew about ants. But they said that they thought that I was a retarded kid because I never talked to nobody and I was just like crouched down staring at the ground. But I was very shy, but I grew out of it. But in elementary school, I was very shy. And I did keep to myself a lot. And I was always asking questions. I would rather hang around adults with gray hair and ask them questions than to be around children. I'm a beekeeper. And I have fire ants. There's fire ants in this area of Georgia. And fire ants, a bunch of them can go in water and make a ball and float. And they can rotate who's in the air, who's in the water. And they can connect to each other to make bridges. And they can farm aphids. Like if they find aphids, fire ants will farm them. They'll stop hunting bugs and they'll, like, if you plant pink-eyed peas anywhere in Wheeler County, Georgia, aphids are going to get on. I mean, unless you spray them, which I don't spray them because the aphids, they drink some juice out of the pods and the stems, but it doesn't really hurt the bean at all, so I don't really care. I know it's hurting the plant some, but like if they were on tomatoes, I would care, but I don't really care. Because when the rain comes or the dew comes, that honeydew will be a source of food for my bees. But anyway, I just kind of like to watch the ants farm the aphids anyway. But the ants fire ants sometimes will take slaves of other colonies. They'll go raid other colonies for eggs. Sometimes they'll have harvester ants working as slaves for them. I don't really see fire ants enslaving ants that much. I do see them farming aphids a lot. And the first time I ever saw it happen, they were farming aphids on a rose, and then they started doing it everywhere. But it's like they have their little cows, and they will take. Now they don't all do this. I've only seen ants do this in my backyard here, and I don't see it anywhere else. But they'll cut like spiders have them little things where they can pinch the spider web. They'll cut that off the spider. They'll cut all the legs off of a spider, and they'll use the spider as like a tool. And they'll take a leaf on the pea plant, and they'll fold it over, and they'll take that spider silk and they'll glue it down. And there's a few ants that are just always holding on to the spider, and it'll make a place of shade. And when it gets really hot, they'll put the aphids up under there to keep them from dying. In every place that there's aphids that aren't being farmed by ants, when it gets really hot, they'll be on the top of that plant sometimes, and it'll get really hot, and they'll all die. They'll all be killed by the sun. But when they're farmed by the aphids will make them. Now, the ones that don't have spiders and don't make use of spiders, they'll just move them on the underside of the leaves. But some of these fire ants over here have gotten real smart. I'm so glad they're not human sized, or the planet would be theirs. But I was saying that about how a fire ant colony can calculate how much food is in a bee box. They can say, okay, we can eat this many bees, this many larvae, this much pollen patties, and this much honey. It's worth the sacrifice. Like, I made a trap with motor oil, and there was axle grease up the coffee can to keep them from climbing. They stuck sand in it and twigs in it to make a bridge to climb up it. Then to get across the motor oil, they just suicide. They just kept crossing it and dying, and just made a suicide bridge to walk across till they could make a bridge and link it. And then they crawled across and attacked and took the colony. And just like, I was gone, I think 2 days, and it was gone. They're very tenacious. They don't give up easy, and you really got to stay on top of them. That's why I put my bees on a big old concrete foundation that I could have used to build a house on top of. But I just wanted to be able to put my wool traps up, not have any like grass or any vegetation grow, and lean on the bee box for fire ants. And that way I can make a circle of axle grease to keep trails of fire ants. I just wanted to really be able to, Wheeler County is great for beekeeping because you have such a long growing season, so much nectar flow, so easy to raise queens. There's so many advantages. But the disadvantage is the fire ants are bad here. And, you don't really want to be spraying poison around your bees at all. Like, let's say it kills the ants but doesn't kill the bees. It can still get embedded in the wax and build up over time. And so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to spray poison anywhere on my property while I got bees and I'm eating honey. I don't want the poison anyway. I'd rather a cabbage have a hole in it from a bug chewing on it and cut that part off than eat poison. And I'd rather, like some of these people, they buy these nets and they put it on all their blueberry bushes to keep the birds from eating them. I just don't care. I would rather just grow enough blueberries or some for the birds and me. I like birds. I like hearing them sing. They can eat some blueberries on me. I'm cool with it. Had a fox eat my grapes, though. I kind of didn't like that my fox ate, because it was my first little bunch of grapes I ever got off that Concord grapevine, and a fox ate them and ate a watermelon and ate some chickens. I probably want to get rid of that fox, but I'm probably going to wind up just feeding it dog food and eggs and try to befriend the motherfucker, even though he ate some of my chickens. I like foxes. Foxes smell like weed sometimes. When I was on a stack of pallets, and he walked right beside me. It was still daylight. It was before it gets dark, but it wasn't really like dark, but it's cooled down. And he walked right by me, didn't notice me. I pulled out my phone to try to put it on video to record him, but I had it on photo and didn't know it. So when I pressed what I thought I was pressing to record, it snapped and made that sound, and then he took off running. Then I switched it to video, and I tried to video him, And all you see is like a blur, and he goes up under my little building. By the time I got to the building and looked up under there, he was already gone, run out the backside, through all them blackberries and everything. I'm not chasing him through them thorns, but I was just gonna see if I could try to feed him or something. I don't know. It stopped up. Re-roll it. This is not true, but I almost think I'm gonna miss rolling more than smoking. It's just such a habit, like when you eat, your hand moves to your mouth, so that's a really ingrained habit. And then fire is very important for our survival. So there's the fire, and then the like building it, the smell. You've been outside? How long have you been outside? I didn't know you were out there. I thought it was weird that I didn't see her. Hey, dude. The storm took that building down. It's old. Come here, dude. See, some of that corn from the deer corn fell off the porch and grew right there. This morning, Duke was shaking his ear. Every time he shakes his ear, he's shaking his ear. Lord mercy. He's shaking his ear to tell me. He shakes his ear to, if he gets a tick in his ear, he'll come up to me and he'll just shake his ear until he'll shake his ear. He's shaking his ear on his other side. He's letting me know he's got another tick on the other side, which I'm going to check it, but I'm going to take care of this one first. Under Bronin Republican law, you've been sentenced and convicted to vampirism. Sentenced to punishment by the flames. We do not tolerate vampires here. Now, y'all can say whatever y'all want, but if y'all ain't had to deal with vampires, I don't want to hear it. But we do not. We do not suffer vampires. We do not show mercy to vampires. We do not take any quarter with vampires. All vampires die. Burn them to death. I know it's savage. I know it's cruel, whatever. But you know what? We sovereign around here, these parts, and we don't tolerate it. That goes for mosquitoes. That goes for ticks. That goes for fleas. That even goes for humans. If you want to wild out, don't come to Wheeler County. Don't come to Wheeler County being a vampire. Do not do it. We ain't going to call the law on you. No vampirism. That's you too, Bill Gates. All you celebrities want to do any kind of spirit cooking bullshit, don't come here. And I mean that too. I mean it. Y'all just wilding out way too damn much. Way too damn much with the vampirism. Way too damn much. In the middle of nowhere, there is some sort of force accumulating. Why? I don't know why. And it's just like everybody just wants to be at peace. They're like, let us farm in peace. Let us make food for the people. Let us just farm. And they're like, nah, we're gonna make another law and regulate that. Nah, nope, we're not gonna let you sell it for what it's worth. You gotta sell it for less than it's worth so you can afford to make money feeding people. We're gonna force you out. They want to force us out of agriculture. Bill Gates over there turning gasoline into some kind of fake butter. Why? Because you can't do that. Want to outlaw you having cattle, because then you could be self-sufficient. You needed the system, not be a slave. But only a few people have rights to have oil wells. Only a few people could have that crazy-ass machine to turn oil into some kind of fake-ass butter. And I will not eat that shit either. And if any of you have tasted the delicious, awesome goodness of real butter. I'm not talking about vegetable oil spread. I'm talking about real butter. If you eat real butter and you betray and abandon real butter to eat Bill Gates gasoline butter, I will not be your friend. And I know that might not mean much and whatever, but I'm just telling you, I cannot get along with someone that would do that. Why would you slap God in the face like that? Why would you take butter and replace it with gasoline derived synthetic fats. What is wrong with Bill Gates? What is he thinking? Why would he do that? We're building the solar panels right here. Except for the old, no longer productive pecan trees covered in vines and funguses and ferns and owls and woodpeckers living in them and everything that they didn't cut down. They cut all the timber there when Mama bought it from my Uncle Keith. And Ricky Towns, he could not afford, he owned like more land in Georgia than anybody for a while, but he couldn't afford to pay the property taxes on it all, and he started losing it. And he lost all this out here, and now they're putting solar panels on it, which they say is going to make it hotter. Mama cutting the woods down is going to make it hotter too. But I got property outside of Alamo. My property is right before you get into Alamo, like if you're going the back way to Dublin. And I didn't cut my trees down. And the only trees, I do cut some pine trees down, but I replace them with fruit trees and nut trees. But they say that over time, them solar panels will leach stuff into the soil and you can't grow crops no more. They used to always plant, well, there used to be trees for turpentine, hogs, and cotton. There's cotton further up the road, but not very much further up the road anyway. I mean, that field's not planted in cotton now. It actually might be once I get up there. I ain't paid attention in a while. But for a long time, all this was just pines anyway. There was a lot of hardwood there too. There were a lot of deer there. A lot of deer used to live up in that area there because they could, they can have the shelter of the woods, and there's a lot of persimmon trees and a lot of pecan trees and acorns, and there's a lot of food for them to eat in the forest. But they could also come up here and walk up this road and eat everybody's soybeans and cotton and just anything and everything, peas and I hate it when a deer gets in a pea patch. Like, my God, because they don't have them bottom. Is it the top teeth they don't have? They got the bottom ones. They just got that pad up there, and they just grab and rip. Like, they can't just like nicely take the whatever it is. If they're gonna eat your squash or eat you whatever they're gonna eat, they don't just like pick it off the vine. They grab it and they rip it and they tear the plant up, pull the plant. Like a pea plant, you could pick every pea off of it and it'll just make flowers and make more, and you pick them off and it makes more, and it just keeps doing it. You could actually, here the growing season is so long that the first, second, and third times you pick peas off of the purple hull peas, you can plant the seeds and you'll get peas off of them too. And then it gets to where you can't do it no more, because in the fall when the rains come, they'll get all moldy and stuff. It's just not, you can't do it then. But if the deer would just eat the peas off the pod, it would make more peas for him. But he's got to rip the whole plant out the ground and kill it. That's all right though. I like deer meat better than peas anyway. There's wild grapevines growing on the fence. They're ready this time of year. I've been eating a lot of them. New World grapes aren't like the Old World grapes. The outside peeling will readily separate from the pulp and the juice and the seeds on the inside. There's also a kind of vine that makes this yellow flower that a lot of native bees go to. There's a lot of vines that make a lot of flowers that the honeybees can go to. And the honeybees go to the maple tree flowers a lot too. This week, I got the money to do it. I'm going to buy one of them peels. They said it's $35 and give it to Duke. And it'll make all the fleas and ticks fall off of them. It's just been insane how much. And Duke, you cannot put anything, like any kind of like flea or tick repellent, anything with any smell, anything that I have tried, he will go waller in the mud and water and lick himself, and he will get it. He wants to smell like a dirty dog, and he will not keep any insect repellent, anything on him. But I'm gonna give him them peels And Dolly too. That Chihuahua that's a puppy teacup Chihuahua. He say he's not. The vet said he ain't big enough yet. And fuck that vet too, cause it was like $90, and then or it was like 75, 80, something like that, like twice. And then they were like, well, now he's got his shots and everything. And then they were like, now it's going to be cheaper, a lot cheaper the next time you come, maybe like $30, $40. Then they go charge us almost $100 again. That's lying and fraud, really. Probably shouldn't even pay them. But fuck it, we pay them. Fuck it. But that's not really the price we agreed on. You think I'm going to take them to the vet every so many weeks now? No. You hear them cicadas and cagey deer and bush crickets. I'm just sort of expecting that Mama and Brittany will pull up any time. Probably drive down this road coming this way. Unless they pull it from Henson Hill. It's some poison ivy. I used to break out like crazy with poison ivy. Now don't do what I'm saying, because you know, correlation isn't always causation, right? So I'm not giving this as any kind of medical advice or whatever, but I used to break out like crazy from poison ivy. And I was under a lot of stress in 2012, the winter of, and the early part of 2013. And I was walking back and forth from Hope Church Road to, I heard something, Hope Church Road to Eric Church Road. It's a good distance to walk. And I was barefooted, and I just kept walking over that poison ivy and get poison ivy on my feet over and over and over again. And the doctor said I need to wear shoes and all this stuff, and people was saying I had gone crazy and stuff. And then now I get into poison ivy and it does nothing to me. I never have an allergic reaction to it anymore. Like if I walk in the woods and brush up against it, I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get poison ivy, and I just never do. I don't know if my body just eventually like figured out, hey, this isn't really harming you, calm down. Your rushial oil doesn't matter. I know somebody said that if you eat onions, it can take away allergies, and honey, and I used to not like onions, and I had started eating onions and eating local honey and being exposed to the poison ivy, and I don't know what other diet changes, like, I don't know, I don't know if some epigenetic factor changed which gene was recessive or dominant in my body, and my body shifted to not have the allergy. I don't really know. I can't say, hey, repeatedly exposing my feet to poison ivy all the time made me no longer, what do you call it, when you're susceptible to poison ivy. I'm not saying it's the cure. I'm not saying go do that. You might wind up in a hospital needing a cortisone shot or something. But it seemed like it worked for me. I wasn't doing it on purpose. Like I wasn't the plan to walk in it on purpose, and my face used to swell up and I'd look like a Mongolian and my eyes would be swelling shut and stuff when I'd get into poison ivy. There's an abandoned house up on the hill above. That might be Mama. Nah, that ain't Mama. That car don't look nothing like Mama's car. Got to put my blunt behind the phone with Mama's coming. Probably watching on live stream. Maybe not. Probably not. I still got my tape measure. This is my tape measure because I don't know, my other one got lost at work. I don't know what happened to it. It was mine. It wasn't the company's. And then they wound up not having one, and I needed one, so I went and got one out of the truck. By the time I got back getting mine out of my truck, they had found one. I think B had found it or something. I don't know. I'm gonna flip the camera around. A coyote ran across the road here one time. and my front license plate tag tore his tail off of him. His tail was like broken in half, and there was like some stringy, like the fibers, the connective tissue in the tail, they're like long strands of like thick dental floss or something. And the tail was very bushy, like a fox tail, not like a dog tail. And the animal looked like a short. There's a lot of coyotes around here, but they're normally in groups. But this coyote, he just ran like at a diagonal. He just went like out of the tall grass. Some people just shoot coyotes unlimited. I think they don't care if you kill them all, because they like kill people's dogs and cats and chickens and everything. But when I've been walking alone at night and everything and hear coyotes doing that, sound like puppies singing, yelping, and barking and shit, I've never had coyotes attack me, ever. They seem pretty chill with humans, really. They don't really... I just ain't got no beef with no coyotes or foxes. I'll probably change it when I get goats. I'll probably be killing the fuck out of them then. When you love something, you can't help but kind of hate what would hurt it or destroy it. You spend all this time taking care of animals, and then some other animal is killing them, then you're like, I'm gonna kill this animal. And then other people are like, you evil motherfucker that kills animals. You know, how dare you kill a possum? They eat ticks. Well, this possum done got in my chicken pen 3 times and killed 4 or 5 chickens. Possums are very intelligent, and I really do like them. I do like that they eat ticks. But you know what else eats ticks? Chickens. Chickens will eat all the ticks out of the yard too. And they'll give you eggs. A possum ain't doing that. But possums have that look in their eye like they're really smart. It makes me not want to kill them. I don't never really want to kill animals. You always get that kind of sick, nervous feeling, you know, right before you chop the head off of a chicken. I'm going to eat them, though. I'm going to kill them. I'm going to kill fish. I'm going to kill chickens. I'm going to kill deer. And I'm going to keep being alive. And I'm going to keep being thankful that their lives are being sacrificed for mine. And I'm not going to just, like, overeat meat more than I need and just go on a killing rampage and just gorge myself with just, like... But I'm both things. I'm a killer and a nurturer. I can like hold a little baby, a little puppy, and be all gentle with it and everything. And then I can pull the trigger too. There's a famous quote, but I don't remember the quote or the person who said it. But he makes the point that if you love something, but you're not willing to hate its opposite, or you're not willing to protect it or defend it, then it's really just like a useless word. It's just a catchword for cowards. Let's say you love your child, but somebody was to, come and beat up your child, and you didn't even try to save your child. No, you don't. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that I'm live, so I guess I lost service, so probably cutting out the words I'm saying. That sound all scrambled up. But anyway, if you love someone, you don't really love what would hurt who you love. And if you're not able to be aggressive toward that would hurt what I'm saying is, being a good person is not all just about being nice. Like, if you want to make a safe space for your family and your children and your friends, you got to be willing to, like, let's say some outside force or somebody else would come to harm them. You got to be willing to be able to be violent and be deadly and be a killer when necessary. I know a person that this happened to them. You know, somebody comes in with a gun and robs them, and they run out the house, and their family was in there. They probably didn't think that's what they would do in a situation. And they had somebody come up with guns, and they've got a gun in their hand, and they tell them, don't come any further. But the person keeps coming and takes the gun out of their hand and hits them with the gun and everything and robs them. Why? Because they wouldn't just kill somebody. So it's like, so then there's the kind of person that, you know, you would have pulled the trigger. You know, I would have. I got my family behind me and everything, and somebody's coming with guns, and I've told them, no, you can't come in my house and whatever. I'm not letting them get in arm's reach of me. I'm going to pull that trigger and I'm going to kill them. That doesn't make me a bad man, but it's necessary. It's necessary to, you know, to be able to protect. So, but then you cannot be, you know, a killer in the home to your family. No, you got to be gentle and nice and everything. So like, there's a duality in man. You know, there's a I don't know, everything it just about has an opposite. I don't know. I think Mama and Brittany might have got to talking to each other. Let's say that now that tree right there, that's a decent sized tree. It's probably 40 years old. That tree's probably 40 years old or so, maybe 50. But most of them aren't. Most of them are. This is at the end of the road. There's a little swamp there. And see, you're always going to have, see where it's real wet, you're not going to have that many pines. They're going to rot out. And then where you got the high land where it's not swampy anymore, it goes back to being pines. So remember that. If you're like if you had to be at a distance and you're walking and you're like, man, I got to find water. Look at the trees. If you find a place where there's a lot of hardwoods, there's a better chance of there being a stream or a creek somewhere there. That's how I talk to the birds. They always talking mad shit, man. These birds around here, they talk the most and about stuff you wouldn't even think matters or care about. You minding your own business, that bird come over. And I'm like, I don't care if he ate a piece of bread. I don't care if there's a man with a yellow hat. What are you talking about? The birds come on and be like, just to let you know, this is everything I seen and heard today. Like, dang, I didn't need to know all that. I got my Pickle Rick socks on. You ever heard that story in the Bible where Jesus goes up to the fig tree and it ain't even time for there to be figs on the tree and he gets mad about it and curses the tree? It's like, it will never make figs ever again. I ain't in a place to be doing all that. I ain't gonna do all that, or I wouldn't. I just, but that grape vine didn't have no grapes for me at all. Is that a dragonfly or a damselfly? So, I'm zoomed in too much. Oh, he's gone now for sure. He wasn't gonna stay around for all of that. I like that. It feels like the wind's blowing. Or the air got all pushed back by the vehicle. It's him. Dun, 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 dun. So the crickets, they got like a beat to it. I got something. Oh, that's that tape measure. It's bouncing in my pocket. That clip's bouncing against my leg. You know, I heard. Which one of them Vikings was it? He strapped his dead enemy's head to him while he rode on a horse, and the teeth bounced up on his thigh, and he got infected and died from it. The guy he killed him after he was dead. A little tar rock from him working on the road got stuck to the bottom of my sock. That's what they got so far. I'm gonna end the stream.